The Dr. Pepper Bottling Company of Texas, a proud sponsor of the Texas Rangers Baseball Club, is pleased to present to you the Nolan Ryan Feel the Heat video. A Nolan Ryan fastball and an ice-cold Dr. Pepper. Just what the doctor ordered.
There's no stealing your thunder. No, it can't be contained. You fill me with wonder and cool me off like rain. You're a part of me, that's the heart of me. Without you, I'm just a lonely melody. But together we are harmony. Dr. Pepper, you're a part of me.
Hi, I'm Jim Turner, owner of the Dr. Pepper Bottling Company of Texas. Dr. Pepper was established in Waco over 100 years ago. We like to think of it as a Texas tradition, just like baseball. Like many of you, I grew up playing sandlot baseball, and I had my heroes, guys like Mickey Mantle, Bob Gibson, and Willie Mays. But we Texans are lucky. We have a hero all our own, a fella from Alvin named Nolan Ryan. Nolan played for 27 years. Think about that, 27 years. And he set records that will never be challenged, let alone broken. But most importantly, he played the game the right way, with honor and integrity.
Thank you, Jim. I appreciate that. You know, baseball's been very special to me, and I've had a great opportunity to play for the best fans in the world, the Texas Ranger fans.
Nolan, Ranger fans are something special. So we at the Dr. Pepper Bottling Company of Texas are pleased to present Feel the Heat, a video that highlights your career. So sit back, relax, have a cold Dr. Pepper, and enjoy the show.
Nolan, 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 Ryan. Nolan, 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 keep the express rolling, keep the legend growing, Ryan. Riding in the saddle or going into battle, your right arm's a rifle at your side. Throwing 95 miles an hour, you've still got the power. That big heat's still blazing through the sky. A true life Texas hero, stringing up the zeros. 3 up and 3 down, bye-bye. Smoke 'em in, strike 'em out, smoke 'em in, strike 'em out, Ryan. Throw the heat, toss the curve, you have plenty in reserve. Smoke 'em in, strike 'em out, Ryan. Nolan, 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 though they're disapproving, keep that curveball moving, Ryan. Don't try to understand them, just rock and fire and fan 'em. Come on, batter, batter, don't you cry. The stats that can't be lying, the best is Nolan Ryan, hanging all those sluggers out to dry. By any calculating, Cooperstown is waiting at the end of your ride. Strike 'em out, pop 'em up, strike 'em out, fly 'em out, ground 'em out, Ryan. Throw the heat, throw the change, keep the curveball out of range, set 'em up, strike 'em out, Ryan.
Hi everyone, I'm Mark Holtz, and throughout the history of Major League Baseball, fans have been mesmerized by pitchers who could literally overpower the opposition with their fastballs. But when you're talking serious heat, the king of K's, one name stands alone, Lynn Nolan Ryan Jr.
Facing a Nolan Ryan fastball is like trying to drink coffee with a fork.
No one in Major League history has thrown harder than Nolan Ryan.
I've never seen, that's the thing about it, I've never seen anyone throw harder than me. No, never have. I've played baseball for 23 years, and I have never, ever seen anyone throw any harder than me.
No one has thrown harder longer.
I said many, many times after watching him pitch, they should send his arm to the Smithsonian Institute when he's finished. How this man has been able to continuous year after a year and throw the ball at the rate of speed that he has to be one of the wonders of the world.
At 22, Nolan Ryan was a fireballing right-hander for the amazing New York Mets, 1969 world champions.
His fastball did more than just explode. It got about halfway and just kind of would disappear. Batters couldn't believe what was going on.
At 42, Nolan Ryan was a fireballing right-hander for the Texas Rangers, leading the major leagues in strikeouts and limiting the opposition to a cumulative batting average of just 187.
People, they talk about me as doing the things that I do. I really don't consider myself in the same class with Nolan. Because here, this guy is, he's in his 40s. Sorry, Nolan. But, and he is out pitching better than anyone in baseball.
In a major league career that has spanned 4 teams in 4 decades, Nolan has won more than 300 games, posted 7 no-hitters, and over 5,000 strikeouts.
I would have to say, yeah, he's going to be a Hall of Famer, and if he can't be a Hall of Famer, who can?
In high school, Nolan was a tall, skinny right-hander who lacked polish and finesse. But even though he weighed just 150 pounds, he had a blistering fastball.
My attitude about pitching in amateur baseball was that that's the only way I knew how to pitch, was just throw as hard as I could for as long as I could, and it was very effective because we played all-night games. There were bad lights, and I was quite wild, and the kids were more concerned about getting hurt than they were about getting base hits.
Nolan's incredible arm caught the sharp eye of New York Mets scout Red Murph.
Nolan came in and warmed up, and the first few pitches, it was almost unbelievable. He was throwing the ball 95 to 100 miles an hour, and I could tell he was a youngster. And he did convince me that day that he had the best arm that I'd ever seen in my life.
In 1965, based on Red Murph's recommendation, the Mets drafted Ryan in the 8th round. He was the 295th player taken.
When he got to the majors, Nolan was more a thrower than a pitcher. He was a diamond in the rough. But on occasion, oh, how that diamond could shine.
You know, we had a great group of young pitchers early with the New York Mets. There was Gary Gentry, of course, Nolan, Jerry Koosman, myself, a lot of guys that could throw hard. But I think all of us recognize that Nolan probably had the most physical ability to throw the ball. I mean, it was really a very fine line with all of us. Koosman threw extremely hard. And when I was young, I was able to throw the ball fairly hard. But I think more than anybody else, we all felt that Nolan was the guy that could throw it the hardest.
Ryan's finest hour with the Mets came in the 3rd game of the '69 World Series against Baltimore. In Game 3, the Mets took a 4-0 lead into the 7th. But starter Gary Gentry faltered, loading the bases with 2 outs. Manager Gil Hodges then summoned Ryan from the bullpen.
Now all of a sudden here, we're in the 3rd game of a World Series. It's even at 1-1, and here comes Nolan Ryan out of the bullpen, and people are going, "Oh my goodness!" Has Gil gone completely off his rocker? And all Nolan did was just completely shut him down.
Ryan earned a save and a game ball, but it didn't come easy. Tommy Agee's sensational catch stopped the Orioles in the 7th. And in the 9th, Ryan loaded the bases before fanning Paul Blair to end the game.
He got Paul Blair with 2 strikes and threw a curveball at Paul Blair. And Paul Blair's knees buckled. I mean, he just knew this was a fastball that was going to fix him to kill him. And his knees just buckled, and the ball broke across the middle of the plate, and it was all over with.
Ryan would enjoy other moments of brilliance as a Met, but on a staff dominated by Seaver and Koosman, he couldn't get the innings needed to develop. In 1972, he was traded to the California Angels for shortstop Jim Fregosi. Manager Del Rice gave Nolan the ball every 4th day and stuck with him. The steady work resulted in a breakthrough season. He won 19 games, tossed 9 shutouts, and led the American League in strikeouts with 329. Ryan had arrived as one of the dominant pitchers in the game, and 1973 was to be his banner year. On May 15th at Kansas City, Ryan pitched his first Major League no-hitter, blanking the Royals 3-0. To prove that effort was no fluke, Ryan came back on July 15th and no-hit the Detroit Tigers 6-0. On this day, Ryan was truly awesome. His first pitch was a sharp breaking curveball that hit umpire Ron Luciano in the shin. When Nolan has this kind of stuff, the batters are simply overmatched. He struck him out looking. He struck him out swinging. He fanned him with a heat. He got him with a curve. It was no contest as Nolan Ryan rang up 17 strikeouts. Nolan was so overpowering that Norm Cash came to the plate in the ninth with a table leg instead of a bat. Umpire Luciano made Cash use a real bat, but table leg or Louisville slugger, it made no difference as Cash went down to end the game.
Also a record time strikeout performance. Here it comes. He pops it up. A tough play. No-hitter, Nolan Ryan.
Of all the no-hitters, I think that one by far was the most dominating. I had probably the best curveball and command of my fastball in that game, more so than, say, any of the others.
As the year progressed, Nolan piled on the wins and piled on the strikeouts. Rube Waddell's American League mark of 349 Ks fell against Texas, and catcher Jeff Torborg's glove was lost in Boston.
We were in Boston, and it was very close to the end of the season, and Nolan was pitching, and there was a runner at third base, and all of a sudden he fires a high fastball just up around my shoulder height. I felt it hit the glove, and I hear the crowd roar, and the runner starts at the plate, and I look in my glove. He had thrown it right through the webbing. It broke right through and hit the backstop on a fly. My concern at that point was not that the runner had scored, but what had happened if it were right in front of me, you know? I'd be speaking through my chest.
Nolan capped his year by breaking Sandy Koufax's record of 382 strikeouts in a season. He began his final start against the Minnesota Twins, needing 15 Ks. 11 innings later, Rich Reese went for number 383. The record was Ryan's. Was Nolan Ryan the fastest pitcher in baseball? In 1974, a group of scientists from Rockwell International set up a battery of sophisticated measuring equipment and clocked Nolan at 100.9 miles per hour, the fastest pitch ever thrown. It's in the Guinness Book of World Records. You can look it up. On September 28, 1974, Nolan joined the short list of pitchers with 3 career no-hitters as he shut out the Twins 4-0. And on June 1st, 1975 at Anaheim, Ryan no-hit Baltimore 1-0 to join Sandy Koufax as the only 2 pitchers with 4 no-hitters. The legend continued to grow. After 8 record-setting seasons with the Angels, Nolan Ryan returned to the National League in 1980. He signed a free agent contract with the Houston Astros and in the process became baseball's first million-dollar man. Nolan Ryan had come home. A year later, as the Astros battled the Los Angeles Dodgers for the Western Division title, baseball's top gun notched another record in his belt. On September 26th in the Dome, with a national television audience hanging on every pitch, Ryan pitched his record 5th no-hitter, shutting out the Dodgers 5-0.
It was the first opportunity that my mother got the chance to see one of the no-hitters as she was in the stands that day, and so there were some special things about it that didn't happen in the other ones.
Ryan won his 200th game on July 22nd, 1982. And now looming on the horizon was another of baseball's most famous standards, Walter Johnson's Major League career record, 3,508 strikeouts. The Ryan Express was chasing the big train, and it would be like a bullet train racing a steam locomotive. No contest. On April 17, 1983, Andre Dawson of the Montreal Expos became victim 3,500. 10 days later at Montreal's Olympic Stadium, Ryan would get the record. In the 8th inning, he struck out Tim Blackwell to tie Johnson. The next batter was pinch hitter Brad Mills. A backdoor curveball caught Mills looking. Strikeout 3,509.
I got a lot of personal satisfaction out of that because when I broke into baseball, that was one of the records they thought would never fall, as they thought Babe Ruth would.
On the mound, Ryan was a study in concentration, a stoic, fierce competitor. But occasionally, he'd show a lighter side. Astros battery mate Alan Ashby remembers Ryan's impromptu imitation of Cincinnati's pitcher Brad Leslie, a man known as the Animal.
And he would, every time he'd strike somebody out, he'd go out there and just yell after the strikeout. And Nolan had watched about enough of it, and he decided he was going to do it. And the last person on earth you would ever expect to do that was Nolan Ryan. And he went and struck somebody out and just came off the mound and yelled. And both teams, both benches, totally fell out laughing. And it's the sort of thing that if anybody else had done, I think the other team would have taken offense to. But they fell out laughing and applauded him, and the game went on.
Ryan continued to write his name in the strikeout ledger, posting his 4,000th K in July of 1985. As the 80s drew to a close, Ryan neared the allegedly untouchable total of 5,000 strikeouts. Most people, Ryan included, probably thought that historic moment would occur in an Astros uniform. But they were wrong. Unable to reach a new agreement with the Astros, Ryan became a free agent after the '88 season and signed with Texas. And with Nolan Ryan leading the way, the Rangers got out of the gate quickly, playing aggressive, exciting baseball. The heat was on. But the story of this season would be strikeouts. 18 times he fanned 10 or more batters in a game. He led the majors with 301 Ks, and he finally broke the 5,000 barrier. Ryan's date with destiny came on August 22nd, 1989 at Arlington Stadium against the Oakland A's. The Dallas-Fort Worth area hummed with excitement. The eyes of the baseball world were on Texas.
I think I probably felt more anxiety going into that game than probably any other game that I can really recall, because everybody came there, the build-up, the fact the stadium was sold out, and I knew a lot of people had come a long ways to see that event, and I needed 6 strikeouts, and the last thing I wanted to do was have a disappointing performance and not accomplish that. And not that I was anticipating that, but I think looking at things realistically, that I'd have been devastated if I hadn't accomplished it that night.
Ryan went into the game needing just 6 strikeouts. Jose Canseco was number 4,995. Dave Henderson, number 4,996. Tony Phillips, number 4,997. Ricky Henderson became number 4,998, and Ron Hasse 4,999. Leading off the 5th for Oakland was Ricky Henderson. Tension mounted with each pitch as the count reached 3-2. Would Henderson be strikeout number 5,000? Reaching back a bit extra, Ryan came in with his money pitch, the big heat.
He struck him out swinging. Strikeout number 5,000 is history for Nolan Ryan.
It came down with Ricky being the quality hitter that he is, that I had to make the pitch I wanted, and it was a fastball low and away, and from a pitcher standpoint, it was a perfect pitch.
And how did the fastest fastball pitcher of all time react? In true Ryan fashion, he simply doffed his cap. Now, fortunately, most of us will never have to face a Nolan Ryan fastball or try to get a bat on one of his wicked curves. But we thought you might want to actually feel the heat. So we rigged up a special Ryan cam to let you experience the sensation. What do you think? Those major league hitters earn their money when they bat against Nolan. Nolan Ryan opened the 1990 season in his fourth decade in the major leagues with 5 innings of no-hit baseball and a victory over the Toronto Blue Jays. The Express was in high gear as Ryan won his first 4 starts, including a one-hit shutout of Chicago. But then disaster struck. Nolan developed a painful stress fracture in his lower back that hampered his pitching and put him on the disabled list. Some thought this might be the beginning of the end for the oldest player in the game. But once again, Nolan Ryan would dazzle the baseball world. On June 11th, he took the mound against the defending world champs, the Oakland A's, and pitched his 6th no-hitter, beating the A's 5-0.
Then the way my teammates reacted and the way they swarmed me, that it's, I think that's what really made that special, was how involved and emotionally involved they got in the game. And so it was really an emotional moment for me, and I don't have many of those in baseball.
The 6 no-hitters served to focus the eyes of the nation on Ryan's inexorable quest for yet another baseball milestone, 300 wins. Only 19 pitchers had attained it. And on July 31st, pitching against the Milwaukee Brewers, Nolan became the 20th. Through 7 innings, Ryan shut down the Brewers, fanning 8, and he took a 5-1 lead into the 8th inning. But lapses in the Ranger defense resulted in a pair of unearned runs, and Nolan was pulled after 146 pitches, 25 in the 8th inning alone. The Milwaukee crowd responded to Ryan's courageous effort with a spine-tingling standing ovation as he left the field. Reliever Brad Arnsberg came on to finish out the inning and pick up the save.
It wasn't a concern of mine whether I finished that ball game or not. My concern was winning the ball game, and as it turned out, it worked out just right.
Indeed it did, as Julio Franco hit a grand slam in the 9th inning, and the Rangers closed out the game 11-3. With his 300th win in the record book, it seemed that Nolan had finally done it all. But on May 1st, 1991, he would once again push the envelope of athletic achievement. Pitching against Toronto, Ryan did the impossible, a 7th no-hitter as he shut out the Blue Jays 3-0. From the beginning, he had terrific command of his pitches.
We had gone over the hitters, and we were going to establish the curveball and the changeup early. And I think that by doing that, it made my fastball better as the game went on.
He fanned 1 in the 1st, and he struck out the side in the 2nd. He would finish the night with 16 Ks, 9 on fastballs, 6 on curves, and 1 on a changeup.
I had a good fastball the entire game and really kept my stuff the entire game. There wasn't one pitch that I was having trouble with, or sometimes you'll have a good curveball early but not later, but I maintained my stuff throughout the game.
Ryan's only anxious moment came in the 6th inning as Manny Lee lofted a soft fly ball to short center. But Ranger outfielder Gary Pettis got a great jump and made the catch look easy. In the 9th inning, the tension in the stadium was unbelievable. This was baseball history in the making, and the fans knew it. And Nolan Ryan had pitched too well to be denied.
When I went into that last inning, I knew I had 3 left-handers to face and that they were going to be tough outs, and they were all fast runners, and that I think that improves their chances of getting a hit. So I knew the 9th inning was going to be a tough inning.
After the first 2 hitters grounded out, the moment was at hand. 24-year-old Roberto Alomar came to the plate to face the 44-year-old Ryan. And on a 2-2 count, Ryan fanned Alomar with 93-mile-an-hour heat.
And the 2-2 pitch. He's got the ball swinging. And hello, no-hitter, number 7.
I felt like it was a good pitch, and it was up in the zone where I wanted to throw it. I had people ask me, well, when did you know you had a no-hitter? Well, I didn't know I had a no-hitter until Berto Alomar struck out and was the last out of the game.
When Nolan Ryan retired after the 1993 season at age 46, his numbers were among the most impressive in baseball history. The Ryan Express ranked in the top 10 all-time in games started, innings pitched, and shutouts. His 324 victories, 51 of which came as a Texas Rangers player, tied him for 11th place on the all-time list. In 27 seasons, Ryan set a staggering total of 53 major league records. Ryan's strikeout total, 5,714, was almost 1,600 more than his closest rival, Steve Carlton. That's a lot of brushstrokes on the corners. That's a lot of high heat. 1,600 Ks, by the way, represents a respectable lifetime total for a major league starting pitcher. But Nolan Ryan's career in the big leagues wasn't just respectable. It was remarkable. Ryan's 7 no-hitters remain unchallenged and incomprehensible. It's a record as far out there as the dark side of the moon. After all the highlights inside the white lines, what memories does Nolan Ryan cherish the most?
It'd be one of two things. It'd be the 5,000 strikeout or the 7th no-hitter. The 5,000 strikeout, there was a build-up to it, and the fans got involved in it. And going to the ballpark that night, it was much like a playoff atmosphere. And then I was able to accomplish it that night. I think made it so special. The 7th no-hitter is one of those things that just happens. Everything falls into place, but I think what made it extra special was the fact that it was here. We had a good crowd against Toronto, and the fans really got into it.
From the instant he slipped on a Texas Rangers uniform on opening day 1989 until he rocked and fired his last major league pitch near the end of the 1993 season, Nolan Ryan enjoyed a special relationship with Texas Rangers fans.
I played there under almost a fairy tale type situation. The fans were very supportive of me. I never felt like they were critical of any of my performances. I think being here in Texas at the end of my career probably prolonged my career, and it really made my career complete and made it, I think, extra special because of the fact that I did finish here and because of the way the fans supported me.
The Texas Rangers understood and appreciated Nolan Ryan's singular contributions to the franchise and his immense popularity with Rangers fans. The front office signed him to a 10-year contract as a special assistant to the president. When Major League Baseball brought its All-Star Classic to the ballpark in Arlington in July of 1995, Nolan Ryan was chosen to throw out the first pitch. And on September 15th, 1996, Texas gave Ryan the distinction of becoming the first Rangers player to have his uniform, number 34, retired. It was part of a special Nolan Ryan Appreciation Weekend.
Well, anytime that a team that you played for wants to honor you in that way, it's really a special feeling. To be the first and to be here with the Texas Rangers in the new ballpark, I think it gives me an awful lot of a sense of pride. I'm looking forward to it. It'll be a fun day and be probably one of the most rewarding days pertaining to my baseball career.
Even before he set up shop at Arlington Stadium in 1989, Ryan was a serious candidate for enshrinement in baseball's Hall of Fame. After his tenure with the Texas Rangers, he became a lock for Cooperstown.
If I'm fortunate enough for that to happen, that'll be kind of, I think, the final chapter of my career.
How would Nolan Ryan like to be remembered in baseball? Primarily as a competitor, a gamer, someone who played to win.
I always felt like I wanted the fans that paid to come watch me play, when they left the stadium, that they were glad that they did and that they enjoyed themselves. And I always wanted my teammates to look at me as a guy that was going to do everything he could to help win the game.
Nolan Ryan did it longer than most, 27 years, and as the record book documents, better than most. Baseball fans will long remember one of the greatest power pitchers in the history of the game. The man from Alvin, the king of K's, Big Tex, Nolan Ryan, Texas Ranger.